Tak, vítám vás tady na další přednášce, tentokrát od Toma Jamricha, který nám řekne něco ze světa Star Wars, teda vlastně DevOps. A asi mu rovnou předám slovo. Tak jo, je to tvoje.
Tak díky. Hello. Okay, so the presentation will be in English, hopefully. Nice to see you there. First of all, my name was already mentioned, so you already know me. I work at Brusha Research, and as you may know, we make 3D printers, and everyone loves them. So hopefully you will love the presentation. It will have like nothing to do with 3D printing at all. Okay, let's start with brief introduction. Who here loves Star Wars? Yeah, amazing. Cool. And to make some bit noise, which of you are developers, if any? Yeah, cool. And the dark side, the ops ones? Yeah, nice to see some fellas. Cool. Okay, so a bit of a motivation before we even begin. Something about me and why I'm even here. As I've already told you, I work at Brusha Research and I do like regular DevOps stuff. Everything about and around Kubernetes and all the other supporting technologies around it. Lately, I've been playing with Cilium, and I found it that much cool that I just want to speak about it in here. So that's the motivation. About this talk and the scope and the output you should expect to come out with. I'm not gonna go in too much detail because I think the technology is pretty much complex and it's just like too much for one talk. So I'm just gonna introduce you to technology, about its capabilities, about the whole ecosystem, and what can you do with it, and whether it's like the possible solution you can look into and take more reading documentation, and if you just want to use it in your own system. So let's continue. Side note in the beginning, are you familiar with Kubernetes? Or the other way around, who is not? Okay, pretty much.
What's the question, yes or no?
Yes. No, okay, just a few sentences around. Kubernetes is so-called orchestration platform to Docker containers. So you got a company that has their applications, they Dockerize it, so they can be easily shipped. And when you got a lot of microservices, so a lot of Docker containers, you need to like manage them in some concise way to orchestrate them, and that's what Kubernetes comes in. So do not be afraid, we'll just cover this one. Okay, brief introduction to Cilium, just in a nutshell, so just some bullet points. It's an open source technology made for cloud native. The tool itself provides network connectivity. It can secure your network connectivity. With that, you can observe your network connectivity, and all of that is powered by eBPF. I will go into this later because it's, again, too much. The Cilium itself is part of CNCF. I will explain what it is. And till this day, it's their most advanced CNI, so-called. So, and through this whole talk, you just don't even have to know about Kubernetes itself. We'll talk specifically about the Cilium and what can it get for you. So I mentioned a lot of buzzwords already. So open source, we know what is this? Sure, cool, perfect. Cloud native, again, yeah, it's just a software made for the cloud, yeah. CNCF, do you know what it is? Ringo knows, sure. Okay, it's a Cloud Native Computing Foundation, and it's a daughter organization under the Linux Foundation. And the way it works, generally, some company designs some piece of software, develop it to some stage, then send it like to the community, to the Cloud Native community. It adopts it and push it forward and bring the whole community, a lot of contributors, so the software like evolves crazy fast after that. So the company makes generally like donation to the Cloud Native, and then the Cloud Native Computing Foundation is like responsible for the whole life cycle of the product. So when it's under the wings of CNCF, you can pretty much be sure that your product will not like end in a few years, few moments. A lot of community will be involved. And CNI, another buzzword. It's an acronym that stands for a container networking interface. And yeah, it's basically self-explanatory. And the eBPF, that's pretty much complicated, and I will explain later. On the picture, you can see what it's called a CNCF landscape. And this is the list of all the Cloud Native Computing Foundation technologies and products they own and they manage. As you can see, there are lots of them. You may likely use a lot of them. And one of them is Kubernetes. So you know how huge is Kubernetes, and if you look at the landscape, you see just a little small square. And when we talk about the Cilium, it's another small square. Here. So you can imagine the ecosystem about CNCF is pretty huge, and you can cover basically whole your company setup just with those technologies combined. So about this Cilium, more specifically, how it all started. The first steps of Cilium are dated back in 2015, where Tomáš Graf made his first commit to the Cilium. And if you know the year where the Kubernetes itself was released, the first version, will you remember that? Pretty much. It was 2014. So it was just 1 year after the Kubernetes was like released. So it's pretty old, so to say, product. Originally, the Cilium started as a networking solution with strong capabilities about the policies within the Kubernetes cluster. And the present state, major cloud vendors like AWS, Google, AKS, Azure already adopted Cilium as their CNI solution. They offer like specific products with this networking interface. Google calls it V2 data plane, and it also offers for the Anthos solution when you can run your Kubernetes on your own hardware. And most recently, Cilium project got graduated at CNCF landscape. So that's the stage when you know the product will be there for some time with like production ready, and it's robust. Okay, the reason why we need another tool. Yeah, Kubernetes is it's not complicated, you know, and you don't even know what's happening inside, right? Yeah? Cool, yeah. That's what I thought initially. The reason two, Kubernetes is secure out of box. Yeah? Said no one ever. It's a trap. So the common challenges we face when we manage and we want to do our job properly as developers or the ops side. How you can tell your service is communicating with other service. How will you enforce some rules so the service A can or cannot talk to service B and not some other tools out there? And how do you put security in this place? And how do you even observe the network and the stuff what is happening inside your cluster? And how can you tell the communication between your application? Yeah? Got any answers? Cool. Service mesh. We already got some projects that covers service mesh. Most well-known probably Istio, the other Linkerd. And when you are talking about the policies and their enforcement, we have tools such Kyverno and Gatekeeper, and I could continue. But there's a catch. Most of these tools are pretty much, cannot be pretty much used without the sidecars. And sidecars are evil because they cost you at scale. So imagine every container you use in your pod, you gotta inject it like sidecar container, and this thing you do for every pod you have in your Kubernetes cluster. So basically you double the stuff you already have, and that costs CPU, RAM, and networking. And it's at scale, it's crazy expensive. But yeah, you get something from it. So let's begin with Cilium and why and how it is different. The Cilium, Cilium is a so-called family of products, and they've got a few of them, each of them doing specific thing. The Cilium itself is basically a CNI, so it's just a networking plugin ensuring your networking connectivity. It can do load balancing and all other crazy stuff. The other interesting tool is Hubble, which is a networking and security observability tool. So it's a tool when you can observe your log flows, your metrics, you can troubleshoot there, you know what is happening inside your cluster, you can see the communication itself. It has policy editor, so one way you know what is happening and you can enforce policies to act accordingly. It has pretty dated UI, so to call, but the CLI is really, really nice. Tetragon, it's the youngest one, and it's the tool that really enforces the policies you want to apply. And all of these technologies rely on eBPF. And the eBPF is the force which is binding our networking galaxy together. It's the tool that brings the programmability to the operating system. So if I can draw an analogy, you all know JavaScript, you all hate it, I assume. So the eBPF is a kind of analogy to what JavaScript is to the web browser. So you can extend the capabilities of a Linux kernel with eBPF. Okay, more into detail. Cilium. It's a tool that provides like a transparently secure network connectivity, and it also ensures like load balancing within your workloads, app containers, processes, virtual machines, anything you throw at it. It can work with all Linux container management platforms, being it Docker, Kubernetes, and Podman, and stuff like that. It can operate on L3 or 4, so you got like a traditional networking security services, and it operates also on layer 7, so you can protect the modern protocols like HTTP, gRPC, and it can do also Kafka and similar stuff. Again, eBPF is the core strength behind all these technologies. Cilium is, as I told previously, a CNCF project, and already the most advanced CNI that you can use with Kubernetes. There are some alternatives like Calico and stuff like that, but Calico already enables you to use eBPF also, but just like lately. There are lots of adopters of Cilium, like the huge companies like Google, Yahoo, New York Times, and stuff like that. So you can imagine that the technology is pretty awesome because it's used in such a scale. Hubble, the tool with the nicest logo. It's a fully distributed networking and security observability platform. It is used for cloud-native workloads, again, built on top of Cilium and eBPF. So you got all your networking visibility. You can create like specific rules to enforce some policies. You have like really deep visibility into what's happening, because I've already told before it's working on L3 and L4 and also on L7. So you can know pretty much deeply how the communication and all the trace you can look into. So the outcome, what does it brings to you? It's just that the tool enables you to really understand what is happening inside your cluster and how the communication flows inside. And you can act accordingly, being it like some alerting, you can bind it to your monitoring, and you can monitor not just like the infrastructure part, but also the application itself. The way it works, you don't need to like instrument your application at all, because it works on eBPF. So it's got a pretty deep visibility going through the Linux kernel. Tetragon, the youngest member of the Cilium family, it combines aspects of Cilium with visibility, and this is the tool that enables you like real-time policy enforcement and the observability. It can detect and react upon like security significant events, being it like process execution, like syscall activities, and all the I/O activity you can imagine, like network and file access. So if you got some like evil rebel guy, you will really see the command he's executing inside your cluster, and you can trace the processes that were like called. So you can be aware of what is happening inside. The cool thing is you don't have to use it in a Kubernetes environment, but when you do, it is Kubernetes aware. So it understands Kubernetes identities, so being in like namespaces, pods, etc. And you can configure your policies to your like individual workloads. This tool is, or was, still considered like beta, not that much like stable, but like 2 days ago it was just the first major version was released, like version 1.00. So pretty cool from their side. And we got to the core. So eBPF. The BPF itself stands for Berkeley Packet Filter. I'm not sure whether there are just some networking engineers that could like come and take this place, but I'll try to explain to some extent where I can like understand it. The E in front stands for extended, and it's the tool that enables you like to dynamically insert your logic inside the Linux kernel. So you've got kind of sandboxed application logic, and you can plug it directly in a Linux kernel, and that brings you like pretty awesome stuff. And the major point is that you don't need to instrument or change anyhow your application logic or application configuration. That's the killer feature. So you have your application completely like blind and full of holes, security incidents and stuff like that. You put a Cilium on top of it, and it is already like instrumented. You've got metrics, you see like everything that's happening. Okay, still not enough. There are some other things that Cilium brings to the game. Qproxy. Maybe some like older Kubernetes guy in there are aware that that's the biggest bottleneck regarding networking communication in Kubernetes, and it could be replaced by a BP filter, so it's not working the old way through the IP tables and that filter, as is the case with Qproxy. You can enforce mutual authentication, so your pods communicate like encrypted, and it costs you just 2 lines of YAML. So it's awesome. Cilium got its load balancer implementation. It can do like transparent encryption with IPsec and WireGuard. They provide service mesh, as I already told. They provide cluster mesh, so you can even combine multiple clusters together, which is also awesome. You can observe your application Godel signals together when you combine Grafana with Hubble, again, without needing to modify the application itself. And you can just leverage the Hubble L7 visibility to get the Prometheus metrics from the application. It's capable of IPv6, or it's also capable of the dual mode with IPv4/IPv6. If we got some like mobile operators or service provider, it's capable of SCTP, which is also cool, and capable of very advanced BGP features like BGP timers, grateful restarts, and the EGPB multi-hub, and so on and so on. Okay, I'll sum it up. So what I am to leave you with, to give you the basic overview of what is Cilium capable of, and to give you some sort of motivation to give it a try, whether on your home lab or at your company. Okay, all of this was nice, but you know, the regular question, how much? First of all, the software itself is open source, so you can use it as you want and you pay just nothing. And more to that, they offer the enterprise solution, which comes with even more features. Basically, like if you want some support from that with some SLA, and the additional SecOps and governance observability tools that some companies may leverage. Okay, now to sum it up, some pros and cons, stuff like that. The benefits of Cilium, I already tried to mention a lot of them, but to sum it up, the greatest killer feature, it's available out of box on most of the big cloud providers, being it Google, Azure, and stuff like that. So if you want to try it, you can use your SaaS solution with the Cilium on board already. eBPF, described, cool thing. Strong policy engine, you really can strictly separate things you need. And out of the box, it has great integration with Prometheus and Grafana. So you can pull all your data from the application and have a nice dashboards, have a nice alerting on them, and it talks together pretty nicely. So some cons. Nothing just too fancy, right? If you don't opt for the SaaS solution, like the GKE v2 data plane or stuff like that, if you play it in your home lab using Kind or stuff like that, the setup is pretty easy. It's just when you start your cluster, you just don't use the default CNI and just paste some YAML to start up with a different CNI plugin. So it's just cool. But when you have your solution, your own Kubernetes cluster, don't being managed by Google or Azure, stuff like that, there is a chance you can do it with no downtime, but it is really finicky. And again, if you got the old version cluster using Calico or some different plugin, and when you got the managed control plane, you just cannot switch the CNI. So in this case, you need to create a new cluster and migrate all your workloads. And some features are just not there yet. Being the product is not that much old, but if they keep the velocity, I think that in a near future it will be just perfect, and all service meshes, being it Istio, Linkerd, and stuff like that, will pretty much die. Okay, still afraid to try it? It's not just YAML. Okay, if you want to try it, or give it a shot, or become a Cilium Jedi, there are free labs you can try. They are pretty much well prepared. You can find them on the ISO-Valent website, and they already got prepared some learning journeys, so you can pick the labs that will suit your needs, whether you are a platform operation team or network engineer, some SecOps and stuff like that. And yeah, they've got a really nice island, if you see, and if you every island has some the lab you can try, and if you complete the lab, you've got really nice tick mark, and you can collect them all like Pokemons if you do. Some of them are pretty easy, some of them harder, some of them are really tough. And the cool thing, when you finish, you get a badge, and you can collect those. Okay, when you start learning, get stuck, what do? First of all, read your documentation. Documentation, as far as I can tell, is pretty awesome and covers basically everything I was stuck upon. They've got their Slack channel, so you can post a question there. They've got their regular SIG meetings, which is special interest group, also under the hoods of CNCF. and they've got regular like developer meetings on Zoom, so you can also come there, and got a weekly Echo live stream on YouTube, and they send like newsletters from that, and it's just like crazy helpful stuff in there. And also, if you just ran into some guy from the community, they are really, really helpful. So, in the end,
Tomáš wanted to say the questions from the audience,
Yeah.
because I muted him, you didn't heard. So we have no questions online in the application. So is there any direct questions from any of you? If yes, just raise your hand and I will bring the microphone. We have pretty much time. We have about 20 minutes, even half an hour to talk. So
cool. You can grab coffee.
yeah, we can use the time here. We don't need to go outside. So just if you have any question, just raise your hand. Yeah.
Oh, Ringo, come on.
I'm running. Yeah, a great person to ask.
I'm interested in Cilium for a home lab.
Yeah.
On my home lab, I'm using VLANs to split some traffic already.
Yeah.
Does it support VLANs?
Yeah. You can do like pretty crazy stuff on BGP level. So you can just split your traffic even on the lower levels if you need. And if you utilize their service mesh, they also can like split the traffic and stuff like that. So pretty helpful there. And yeah, I mean, I think you'll be okay with VLANs.
Nice to hear.
Okay, thanks a lot. Any other question from any of you? No? Okay, here.
Thank you. So this might be slightly off topic, but why did your Sith Inquisitor have a blue lightsaber and not a red one?
Excuse me once again.
Why did your Sith Inquisitor have a blue lightsaber and not a red one in the picture?
Yeah, because he likes that color.
Okay.
We have to be inclusive, you know.
Yeah, I have a question. It's pretty obvious you fell in love with Cilium, and I wanted to know why. What is the reason? I know you described what it all have, but what are the other possibilities? Like, is there available some other tool or tool set which could provide something similar, and why have you chosen this one to describe?
Yeah, a lot of tools that provides. Cilium is like the sort of called family of products, and they have like specific tool basically to cover all your needs, pretty much. And yes, in the landscape there are a lot of tools that you can like combine together and use it for your solution. So you can replace the CNI with Calico, you can replace service mesh with Istio, and you can use their like ambient mode with sidecars, which is just a new feature. I'm not sure whether it's like working yet that much. And again, you need like some policy enforcement, so keeper, no gatekeeper, stuff like that. And again, you are just picking random stuff from the landscape, and you need to combine them together. So it's just much work.
Yeah, so it works much better together.
Yeah.
Because yeah.
Yeah.
And how much you use Cilium in your daily work, or in Prussia, or in your previous jobs? Like, is it something like you would like to use, or are you already trying to roll it out, or using heavily?
Yeah, at work, 0. I use it at my home lab, and I played with the labs. But we are looking into the GKE version 2 for another cluster in Prussia for just the ops tools, like the observability stack we have. We have it presently at our production cluster, and we want to like split it.
Can you hear it, by the way? Yeah, great.
Yeah, step closer. Yeah.
Okay, thanks a
Yeah,
lot.
looking
So,
forward.
any other questions from the audience you would like to know about Cilium or the stuff around? All those bees and so on. It's pretty interesting that you can insert something into kernel
Yeah,
or
yeah, yeah.
enhance it. It's,
With
wow.
no consequences, yeah.
All right, so you have no questions, so we end it with this talk. So you have some time, you can join maybe other questions somewhere else or just use your time for free talks. So thank you very much. And